Welcome, I am Rajendra Salokhe. I have analyzed these games for my own purpose. I like CaroKann, and mostly I find that people play CaroKann advanced variation. So I collected some games from advanced variation where black has won and with a checkmate. Games are not of very great players, but by watching such videos and by analyzing the games, you know the various combinations and situations you face while playing CaroKann and how to face them. I take black to my side. Because I want that black should win always, and CaroKann is a strong opening for black. E4, C6 is CaroKann, D4, D5 and E5 is a advanced variation. Here the CaroKann advanced variation is finished. I place bishop to F5, that is 99% people play this move. It takes bishop to D3. Normally this is not played, actually the computer says it is a good move, but you can eliminate that white bishop, which is very dangerous for black, attacking in this diagonal. What is the diagonal? A4 to D7. So best thing is to capture and eliminate the white bishop, then you are easy. Queen cross D3, that is correct. E6. Now he closes the, see, very strong pawn structure he gets. But sometimes you have to open the pawn structure, you cannot stay with this. Now he played F4. Actually, mostly people will play knight to F3. Knight to F3. Then black plays C5, threatening this pawn. And then white plays C3. So even if you capture this pawn, then white captures with C3 pawn. So F4 is a little rare move. After F4, black plays C5, threatening this pawn. You should also try to eliminate this D4 pawn. Now supposing he would have played knight to C3, then it is easy to eliminate. Now it is difficult because he can rise this pawn here to C3, and then when you capture the pawn on D4, he will capture with this pawn on C3. So that is what probably happened here. Yes, he played C3. Now knight to C6, again threatening this square. Knight F3. He is again strengthening this D4. So now every attention is on D4. Queen to B6. Now queen to B6 is mostly played. I have explained in a lot of my other videos also, because it's a very common move. Queen to B6, and queen to B6 will threaten this poison pawn B2. Presently the bishop is supporting, but if he moves the bishop, then you can capture this pawn. And then not rook of course, but probably sometimes rook. So instead computer has suggested knight to G6. Most of the time knight to G6 is not possible because this bishop will be threatening that square. But now the pawn on F4 has blocked the bishop, so you can play knight. You have to take out knight sometime. Normally knight is taken out from e7 and then f5, but here it was an opportunity to take the knight on h6 also. So he plays queen to b6, he plays the other knight to d2, and black long castles. Long castle is also a rare opportunity. In fact, castling is many times rare in CaroKann. Becomes difficult for black to castle. Now we long castles. So d cross c5 and threat to queen. But your bishop is also there, so you can develop bishop with this move. Bishop cross c5. Then knight b3 played, but the best move would have been to take this pawn here to b4 and threaten this bishop. That would have been better. Threatening with pawn is always better. Okay, he played knight to b3, threatening the bishop, but queen is there to support. Bishop to f2 he played. Again, computer suggests he should have developed the knight first and then go for the threatening moves. So bishop to f2 and threatens the king. So king is required to be moved. Now the king has moved, and that is good. That should many times be the aim, to move the king, because then his development is obstructed. Now he plays d4. That seems to be a bad move, because he is putting a pawn between this queen and bishop, so king can take the bishop. Instead, again computer says knight to h6. He played it in between, so king has got opportunity to capture the bishop, but he plays d cross c3, check. So he takes queen to e3. Your queen is supported, so you go on capturing the pawn here. Another pawn you capture, and he captures that pawn with bishop. Bishop cross b2. Actually, good move would have been to capture the queen here. So supposing you capture the queen, then a cross b6 and bishop cross b2. Okay, but we were here, he captures it with the bishop cross b2. Then it takes the queen to b6. Now white played rook to c8, pinning this black knight, but the better move was to move the knight to d4. So let's see what happens if he moves the knight to d4. Because these are not moves from the game, I have changed the color. Knight to d4, threatening the queen and this knight. Removes the queen to b6. Knight cross c6. Queen cross e3. King cross e3. And he takes the knight. So situation is that white is one bishop up as against pawn of black. So white has 5 pawns and black has 6 pawns. But here they are not forming a pair. So we go back to the main game. He plays rook to a6. Again, now he played knight to h6, but instead now the suggested move is to move the king to b8, so that the pin of this knight is removed. This knight is absolutely pinned. So again, see what happens. What will be the moves if he plays knight to if he plays king to b8. So we were here. So he plays king to b8. Knight, white moves knight to d4, knight cross d4, bishop cross d4, and queen to a6. So comfortable. So we're here, black played knight to h6, then white played, see what happened now, white played queen cross a7, and actually not a7, sorry, white could have played suggested by the computer, but white actually played queen to c5. So queen cross a7 would have been better. Let us see. Now supposing queen cross a7, then this knight cannot capture queen because the knight is pinned, absolutely pinned. So he can easily capture the pawn. Next move probably will be knight to g4 and check. King goes to g3, knight h6, bishop a3, king d7, rook to d1, check, king e8, rook cross d8, check, knight cross d8, rook to d1, queen to d7, rook cross d7, knight to f5, king to f2, and king cross d7. And now black is one queen and bishop down, while white is just a rook down. So that would have been a better move actually. So we were here, white played queen to c5 and offering the queen for the exchange. This got support of this knight and support of this rook. So black plays knight to g4 and check. Actually here better move is exchange the queen. Should I exchange the queens? But no, he went for a check. King to g3, and now it threatens the knight. Now black played queen to e2, but again computer suggests that he should have exchanged the queens. That would have been better further to avoid the checkmate. So he played queen to e2, knight e5, knight to e3 he plays, Here again the suggested move is rook to d5, so that he can threaten the queen and also attack on the knight. So supposing he would have played rook to d5, so rook to d5, queen cross a7. He can always just capture a7 because again this knight is pinned here. Queen to f2 check. Queen cross f2, knight cross f2, king cross f2. Here again black is placed by one knight and one bishop. So we are here suggested move was rook to d5, but black played knight e3. Then white played knight to e1 here. So think of this position, remember this position, because we are going to have a checkmate in two moves now. Knight to f5 check, king to h3 and queen to h5 and checkmate. This is checkmate because the g5 square is threatened by the knight and the king cannot move anywhere. So check has taken place. So we're here. Now hold the video and try to look at this position, try to solve this position and what should be played. Actually knight to e5, we are here. Look at this position. Now this was the position from where the checkmate took place. Now think what white should play. Now the actually threat was queen capturing this g2 with the support of the knight, so you should support the g2 pawn. White should have supported the g2 pawn. How you can support? With the rook. So you should have taken rook to g1, then rook to d5, queen cross a7, rook cross a5, queen cross a5, king to d7, queen to e1. First for the no ace to play, so queen cross e1 and rook cross e1. So here white is in a good position actually, so he made a mistake here. Should have moved the rook to g1 here. Threat was there from queen capturing this pawn at g2. So you should look for such threats, and mate has taken place. If you would have taken the rook to g1, then the mate would have been avoided. So this is all. We had a checkmate here. It took the knight to f5 check, king moved to h2 and queen to h5 checkmate. So thank you very much for watching. I'll be having some more videos on this CaroKann advanced because I am analyzing them for me.